My grandma left everything to me. Hi everyone. My name is Emma, and I used to believe that inheriting my grandmother's fortune was the luckiest thing that could ever happen to me. I couldn't have been more wrong. If anything, that inheritance nearly destroyed my entire family. Let me explain. Growing up, my family wasn't poor, but we definitely weren't rich either. My mom worked 2 jobs. My dad owned a small repair shop that barely made enough money to cover the bills. We lived in a tiny house with peeling paint and furniture that looked older than I was. But there was one person who always made me feel like we had everything. My grandma Rose. She lived alone in a beautiful old countryside house surrounded by apple trees. Every weekend, I visited her. We baked pies together. She taught me how to grow flowers. She even showed me how to fix broken clocks. She always said something that confused me as a kid. Emma, people show their true faces when money appears. I laughed every time. I thought she was just being dramatic. I wish I had listened. The rest of my family rarely visited Grandma. My Uncle Richard only showed up on Christmas. My Aunt Linda usually called when she needed money. My older cousin Olivia constantly complained that Grandma was old-fashioned. Whenever I asked why they didn't spend more time with her, they always had an excuse. Too busy. Too tired. Too far away. Meanwhile, I spent nearly every weekend with Grandma. Not because she had money. Honestly, I had no idea how wealthy she actually was. To me, she was simply my favorite person in the world. When I turned 17, Grandma became sick. At first it seemed like a normal illness. Then things became worse. She spent weeks in the hospital. I stayed with her almost every day after school. Sometimes I read books aloud. Sometimes we played card games. Sometimes we simply held hands without saying anything. One evening she squeezed my hand. Promise me something. Anything. No matter what happens after I'm gone, don't hate anyone. I burst into tears. I begged her not to talk like that. But she only smiled. 3 weeks later, she passed away. It felt like someone had ripped my heart out. The funeral was crowded. Ironically, relatives I hadn't seen in years suddenly appeared. Everyone cried. Everyone claimed Grandma meant everything to them. Something felt fake. I couldn't explain why. A week later, the lawyer gathered our family to read Grandma's will. I expected nothing. Maybe her old rocking chair. Maybe one of her books. Instead, the lawyer looked directly at me. Emma Rose Carter will inherit the entire estate. Silence. Absolute silence. Then chaos exploded. What? That's impossible. She manipulated Grandma. She brainwashed an old woman. My aunt slammed her hand on the table. My uncle demanded another lawyer. Olivia stared at me as if I had stolen millions of dollars. I couldn't even speak. I didn't ask for this. I didn't even know Grandma had so much. Her estate included the countryside house, several rental properties, investment accounts, and land worth millions of dollars. I almost fainted. That evening, my phone exploded with messages. Some relatives begged. Others threatened me. A few even offered to help manage the inheritance. One cousin suddenly wanted to become my best friend. People I barely knew invited me to expensive dinners. Teachers treated me differently. Even classmates whispered behind my back. The rich girl. The spoiled heiress. My entire identity disappeared overnight. Things became even worse. Someone broke into Grandma's house. Nothing expensive was stolen. Instead, her journals disappeared. Every single notebook she'd written over the last 30 years. The police couldn't find any suspects. Without those journals, it felt like losing Grandma all over again. Then my parents shocked me. Dad suggested we split the inheritance with everyone. Mom completely disagreed. Their arguments became louder every day. Bills, lawyers, taxes, family pressure. Our peaceful home turned into a battlefield. For the first time in my life, I wondered if money really was a curse. One afternoon, Olivia showed up crying. She apologized. She admitted she had always been jealous of how close Grandma and I were. For a moment, I believed her. until I found hidden documents inside her backpack. Copies of Grandma's property records. Fake signatures. A transfer agreement. She had been planning to challenge the will using forged documents. I felt completely betrayed. She ran away before I could stop her. Soon after, another surprise arrived. The lawyer called me urgently. There is another envelope. Another envelope? Apparently, Grandma had instructed him not to open it unless the family started fighting over the inheritance. My heart started racing. The lawyer unfolded the letter. Then he read it aloud. My dear family, if you are hearing this letter, it means exactly what I feared has happened. You are fighting over money instead of remembering love. Emma, I did not choose you because you are my favorite. I chose you because you were the only one who never asked what I owned. You asked how I felt. There is a difference. But there is something else you don't know. Everything I leave behind is not truly yours. It belongs to everyone, if they choose kindness. Inside the old clock workshop is the final instruction. Everyone rushed to the workshop. Hidden behind an ancient grandfather clock was a locked wooden chest. Inside, there wasn't gold. There weren't diamonds. Instead, there were hundreds of handwritten letters. Each one was addressed to a different family member. Grandma had spent years writing personal letters explaining exactly what she admired, what she regretted, what she hoped each person would become. At the very bottom was another legal document. It revealed the biggest twist of all. Grandma had secretly created a family trust years before. The money could only be distributed if every direct family member signed an agreement promising not to challenge the will, not to sue one another, and to spend 1 week every year together at her old house. If even one person refused, most of the fortune would automatically be donated to children's hospitals and scholarship programs. Suddenly, everything made sense. The inheritance had never been a prize. It was a final test. Grandma knew money reveals who people really are. She designed the will to give us one last chance to become a family. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Then my uncle quietly began to cry. My aunt apologized. Olivia admitted she had stolen Grandma's journals. She returned every single one. Inside the last journal, Grandma had written only one sentence. The greatest inheritance is not wealth. It is the family that chooses to stay together. I couldn't stop crying. Neither could anyone else. In the end, every family member signed the agreement. Part of the estate funded scholarships exactly as Grandma wished. The rest remained inside the family trust. Grandma's house became our annual reunion place. We still argue sometimes. We're still imperfect. But now we remember why we gather. Not because of money, because of her. Looking back, I realize I almost let fear and anger turn me into someone Grandma wouldn't recognize. Money can change your life, but it should never change your heart. Real wealth isn't measured by bank accounts. It's measured by the people who stand beside you when there's nothing to gain. Today I'm in college studying law because I want to help families solve conflicts before they become tragedies. Grandma's journals sit safely on my bookshelf. Sometimes I still read them before going to bed. And last month, while repairing one of Grandma's old clocks, I discovered a tiny hidden key taped inside its wooden frame. I still have absolutely no idea what it unlocks. Maybe Grandma planned one final surprise. And maybe that's a story I'll tell another day.